Before I start, let me say this. If you appreciate real stories about how the world actually works, stories about power, mistakes, and consequences, then take a second right now and subscribe to this channel. Because this one, it's not about luck. It's about what happens when people ignore rules written in blood. My name is Carl Davidson. I'm 52 years old, and I've spent most of my life making sure disasters don't happen. Some people build things, some people sell things. I'm the guy companies call when they want to stay out of federal prison. And this story started with a phone call. The call came at 7:43 a.m. on a Tuesday, exactly 6 months and 8 days after Lone Star Energy restructured my position. That I remember the time because I always do. Old Navy habit. When something matters, you note the details. The voice on the other end was calm, measured, professional. A thick Norwegian accent. Mr. Davidson, this is Lars Eriksson. We have discovered a significant issue with Lone Star Energy's compliance status. Are you available to discuss? I didn't answer right away. I was standing in my little rented office, right above Eddie's Barbecue on Navigation Boulevard, holding a paper cup of coffee that had gone cold. Outside the window, the sun was rising over Houston's industrial district, steel stacks, pipelines, the quiet hum of machinery waking up 0.6 months earlier. I'd been Lone Star's senior compliance engineer. Now, someone from Europe was calling to tell me they'd made a $425 million mistake. See, before Lone Star, I spent 25 years in the U.S. Navy. My job back then was simple to explain and terrifying to execute. I made sure nuclear reactors on submarines didn't melt down. Different industry, same principle. When something breaks in nuclear engineering, people die. When compliance breaks in manufacturing, companies die. And Lone Star had been heading for the cliff long before that phone rang. The warning sign showed up on another Tuesday, quarterly safety meeting. Same room, same chairs, same stale coffee. That's when Brooke Patterson walked in late, confident, smiling like she already owned the place. She stood up, clicked her PowerPoint, and called my entire department legacy overhead with outdated processes. I knew right then, this company was in trouble. Brooke had that energy you see everywhere these days. Designer blazer, perfect manicure, the kind of confidence that comes from never failing at anything that mattered. She was the CEO's niece, fresh MBA, newly appointed Chief Innovation Officer, whatever that meant in an 89-year-old oil and gas equipment company. She didn't shake hands. She waved her fingers, talked about digital transformation, AI-powered compliance monitoring, all while sipping a $12 green smoothie like she'd personally invented efficiency. Nobody invited her to present. Nobody stopped her either. Her slide deck was titled, Streamlining Legacy Functions, Phase 1. Phase 1, it turned out, was gutting my department. I'd been Lone Star's named SOC 2 compliance officer for 8 years. 8 years of building protocols from scratch, tracking regulatory changes like hurricanes, documenting every nightmare scenario the EPA, OSHA, and API could dream up. 3 external audits. 0 violations. My filing cabinets were organized like a submarine inventory system. Everything labeled, dated, cross-referenced. Brooke didn't even know what SOC2 meant. I watched her Google it during the meeting. That morning, she stood there, grinning, with her uncle's company credit card, and called compliance an outdated support function. My department was redundant, she said. Overstaffed. My salary, $82,000, plus $12,000 in benefits, $94,000 saved. Almost a full marketing budget upgrade, she said proudly. Someone actually clapped. I didn't. I just capped my pen, looked up, and asked, "Are we done here?" When I went back to my office, I opened a fresh binder, not out of anger, not even surprise. Protocol. When someone is about to make a catastrophic mistake, you document everything and prepare for damage control. But that's when I started backing things up. Credentials, designations, Every legal document where my name appeared as responsible authority. Because here's what most people at Lone Star didn't know. Their entire regulatory framework still legally required my signature, and nobody had replaced me. People think being replaced is loud. Arguments. Emails. Door slamming exits. That's not how it usually happens. Most of the time, it's paperwork. Quiet, polite, and completely lethal if you understand how the system works. 4 days after that meeting, HR sent the reclassification paperwork. NO meeting. No conversation. Just an email. My new title, Senior Administrative Coordinator. I read it once. Then again. Didn't react. Didn't reply. Just saved the file. My security clearance was downgraded. Leadership meeting invites disappeared overnight. Access slowly evaporated, like someone closing valves one by one. I nodded when people walked by. Even congratulated Brooke when she bragged about hitting her first efficiency target. She actually smiled, like she'd won something. She even did me a favor without realizing it. She emailed me a copy of the 2019 board resolution, the one officially naming me Lone Star's SOC 2 compliance officer. Sent it to my personal email. Timestamp. I printed 2 copies. One went into my home filing cabinet. The other went into a binder labeled Regulatory Continuity. Archive ONLY. Placed it quietly in Legal's storage room, 4th shelf. Left side. Didn't tell anyone. See, revenge doesn't have to be loud. Sometimes it just has to be patient. Most people at Lone Star didn't realize something important. Federal compliance designations don't disappear when you demote someone. They require formal reassignment, board approval, federal filings, and a very specific deadline. 21 calendar days. Miss it, and the designation becomes legally invalid, retroactive, from the moment the position is vacated. That clause wasn't an accident. Section 12.3 of our business continuity plan. I wrote it myself 3 years earlier, after watching a competitor get crushed with $4.2 million in fines for improper compliance handoffs. Rules like that exist because someone already learned the hard way. Oil and gas compliance fines start at $15,000 per day. After 90 days, they jump to $35,000 per day. And they don't care who caused the mistake. They only care that it happened at first. I assumed someone would stop IT.H or would ask questions. Legal would review the chain of authority. Maybe Chuck, the CEO, the man who once called me the guy who keeps us out of federal prison, might pump the brakes. Nothing to in 01 did. 6 weeks later, I submitted my resignation, clean, professional. Effective 14 days from today, I will be stepping down from my position at Lone Star Energy Systems. That was IT. No drama. No exit interview demands. They processed it like routine paperwork. IT disabled my access by end of day. They even misspelled my name on the ticket. That night, my son Austin called. Junior at Texas A&M, petroleum engineering, smart kid. Dad, you sure about this? What about my tuition? Spring semester's coming up. I leaned back in my chair, looked out at the shipping channel. Trust me, son. This is gonna work out. He hesitated. Sounds like you've got something up your sleeve. I smiled. Just following proper procedures. Sometimes that's all it takes. That weekend, I updated my profile in the Federal Compliance Registry. Certification status. Active executive designation. Relinquished replacement filed. None status. Crisis compliance recovery. 24 hours later, my phone started ringing. BY Monday. 4 serious inquiries. 2 law firms. 1 consulting group. And 1 Norwegian energy conglomerate that specialized in acquiring American companies without missing a beat. That I rented the small office above Eddie's Barbecue. $900 a month. 2 desks. A coffee maker that worked half the time. My first consulting contract. $295 an hour. The math worked better than my old salary. Eddie poured me coffee every morning. Old Marine that didn't ask questions. How's business? He asked. Can't complain. Turns out, there's a lot of companies out there that don't know what they don't know. Meanwhile, Brooke was already planning Phase 2. Chuck was doing interviews about Lone Star's new agility mindset. Nobody noticed the compliance clock, ticking toward day 22, because the most dangerous countdowns aren't the ones you hear, they're the ones no one's watching. By day 43, Lone Star Energy was already in violation. They just didn't know it yet. That's the thing about compliance failures. They don't explode right away. They accumulate, like pressure in a sealed pipe, invisible, silent, until it ruptures that same week. I was on the phone with a plant manager in Louisiana. His compliance officer had quit without notice, files scattered, certifications expired, audit scheduled in 6 weeks, panic mode. Mr. Davidson, we're in deep trouble. I didn't raise my voice, didn't rush. Sir, this is exactly the kind of situation I specialize in. I can have your documentation audit ready in 3 weeks. Silence. Then, you sure about that? I smiled. 25 years keeping nuclear reactors from melting down. I'm sure. By day 67, I was on a plane to Oklahoma. EPA investigation. Missed filing deadline. Potential fines in the millions. My job wasn't to erase the mistake. That's impossible. My job was to prove intent. Good faith compliance effort. Because regulators don't just punish failure, they punish negligence. That night, Austin called again. We talked about school, about planning ahead. He hesitated before asking, Dad, have you heard anything from Lone Star? I looked at my calendar, counted the days. No, nothing worth talking about. By day 89, the penalty structure escalated. 15,000 a day became 35,000. Retroactive, compounding, still invisible, still ignored, still growing. That's when Eddie mentioned it. Heard your old company's got something big cooking. I stirred my coffee. Yeah. Chuck was in here bragging. Said they're gonna be millionaires. I watched a barge move slowly down the channel. Funny thing about momentum, once it's moving, it doesn't stop easily. Day 120, the press release hit at 9 a.m. Lone Star Energy Systems TO.B acquired by Nordic Energy Solutions for $425 in the Lone front page of the Houston Business Journal. Chuck quoted everywhere, talking about innovation, transformation, vision. Brooke quoted too. She positioned herself as the architect of the lean operational model. The article even praised her decision to eliminate redundant legacy functions. I folded the paper and finished my coffee. Eddie glanced over. That your old outfit? Used to be. $425 million. That's serious money. Sure is. I paused. Wonder if they dotted all their I's. Eddie looked at me. Military guys know that look. Day 135, the Nordic due diligence team arrived. Professional, methodical, led by Dr. Ingrid Weber. 5 languages, German engineering precision. And beside her, Lars Eriksson. 15 years auditing American acquisitions. A man paid to find problems before they become disasters. Austin called that night. Dad, did you see the news? Hard to miss. You don't sound surprised. I leaned back. Son, I've seen deals twice that size fall apart over a missing signature. Silence. Then, wait. When you left Lone Star, everything I was responsible for was documented properly. After that, I can't speak for. The Nordic team spent a week reviewing finances, operations, safety. Everything looked clean. Brooke's presentations were flawless. The numbers worked. The timeline was aggressive. The mood was optimistic. Closing scheduled in 2 weeks. But Lars wasn't done, because real compliance reviews don't start with slides. They start in archives. Day 148. Legal storage room, 4th shelf. Left side. A binder caught his attention. Regulatory continuity. Archive ONL, a military grade organization. Every document. Labeled. Cross-referenced. Dated. He opened it and read. SOC 2 designation letter. Business continuity plan. Section 12.3. Highlighted. Board resolution from 2019, NO superseding documentation, NO reassignment, NO replacement. Lars pulled out his calculator. Day 22 through day 148, 126 days. First 90 days at 15,000, remaining 36 at 35,000.2.61 million dollars and climbing. But that wasn't the real problem. Every document submitted during that time was legally invalid, including representations made to Nordic Energy. He closed the binder and made a call. Day 149. Thursday morning, 9:15 a.m. Lars Eriksson walked into the Lone Star boardroom carrying a folder that weighed more than any presentation deck ever could. The room was full. Chuck Patterson at the head of the table. Brooke 2 seats down, laptop open, already smiling. Legal, HR, board members checking their phones. Lars didn't sit. He placed the folder in the center of the table and asked one question. Who is Carl Davidson? Brooke blinked. He used to work here, she said. We restructured his position last year. Lars nodded slowly. He is still listed as your named SOC2 compliance officer. Chuck leaned forward. That's impossible. Lars opened the folder. According to the Federal Registry and your own documentation, he remains the designated authority for all regulatory filings. Silence. Where, Lars continued, is the board resolution replacing him? No one answered. The formal reassignment? Nothing. The federal notifications? HR shuffled papers. We assumed the transition was automatic. Lars shook his head. Federal compliance designations are never automatic. They require explicit board action. You have been operating without valid compliance authority for, he checked his notes, 126 days. Dr. Ingrid Weber looked up from her laptop. This represents a material misrepresentation of regulatory standing. Brooke jumped in. It's just paperwork. We can fix this today. Lars didn't look at her. Your current exposure is $2.61 million, increasing by $35,000 per day. The room went dead quiet. Dr. Weber closed her laptop slowly. This acquisition is terminated. Effective immediately. By noon. The Nordic team was gone. By Monday. The press release hit that Nordic Energy withdraws from Lone Star acquisition due to unresolved regulatory issues. The stock dropped 31% in a single day. That afternoon, my phone rang. Mr. Davidson, this is Lars Eriksson. Professional courtesy. He said that he wanted the timeline. I gave it to him. Restructured. Resigned. No replacement. When he asked if I'd worn Lone Star, I mentioned the binder. Fourth shelf. Left side. We found it, he said, very thorough. Then he asked the question I expected. Are you available for consulting? Day 150. Dr. Weber called the 18-month contract. $295 an hour. Full autonomy. I looked around my little office. The shipping channel. The coffee maker. The quiet. Yes, ma'am. Chuck announced early retirement. Brooke was asked to resign. No press release for that. Austin called that weekend. They're using this as a case study in my business law class. What's the lesson? That rules exist for a reason. I smiled. Some folks gotta learn the hard way. Lone Star's building sits mostly empty now. For lease signs in the windows. Me. I'm the guy companies call when they want to make sure their compliance officer is irreplaceable, because experience beats innovation every single time.